As we continue our series on how to build a bandsaw sharpener, what I'm working on today is the blade holder tensioner. The blade has to set completely flat on something, ball bearings, and there's 2 ball bearings in this tensioner, and then it's got to be able to be tightened to the point where as it is sharpened, it's held in place but can still advance. So this, you can adjust it to any amount of tension you want. There it goes. It's probably about right. So it'll be brought ahead as it sharpens. So I'll take this apart and we'll go over the basics of it. Then I have one more operation left to do. I've got to bring the top down further. I got to machine it off in the Bridgeport so that these probably up to about in there, and then it'll be done. Put it on, and this is really the second part completed for the sharpener. And there's a lot to it. This is a fairly complex little piece, so it'd be kind of fun to go over it. So these are the 2 halves that make up the blade leveler tensioner. We'll go over this half first. Basically what I did was I took a piece of 6061 aluminum. It's 1/2 inch, and I think it's 2.5 or 3 inches. I haven't measured it. And inlaid a piece of Delrin about 1/4 inch thick, so that it's not quite, there's about 1/8 inch left sticking up in this part, so that the Delrin is proud or sticks out beyond the aluminum. And then I milled in a little bit a space for the bearings, and these are just held in by a set screw, and the bearings will hold the blade at the right level. And the reason I milled them in was so that the blade was set kind of towards the middle of the bearing, so that it wouldn't actually slip off one side. The Delrin is replaceable in case it wears. It should last a long time. Then I countersunk the heads of these taper-headed screws into the Delrin, and that's what holds that on. So then we put 2 guides, which are just 3/8 bolts, milled in, drilled in, and tapped into the aluminum, and that's to hold springs. So there's 2 springs that basically set in here, and they probably won't set in there, but then the bolts go through the other side, and these just act as slides. So when you loosen the blade, the tensioner, or the tensioner here, they will actually spread apart, so you can get the blade in and out easily. That's that side. This side is basically a mirror image of the other side, except these are milled fairly deeply so that the bearings can set right in and not interfere. One of the problems, of course, is you want these to land level on the sides of the blades. So I put adjusters in the bottom. These are 1/4 inch regular bolts, and they are threaded into the aluminum, and I can adjust them in and out, and there's a lock nut on the back side, so that when the blade is in there, I can then set where I want the tension on the blade and move these in and out so this is level across there. Otherwise it would be a little tipped one way or the other, and it wouldn't hold properly. And then, of course, had to put a tightener in. So I put a tightener in. Now you got to imagine the other parts in. The springs and the sliders go in there. Having a hard time with this. And this is what tightens it down on the blade. There's a spring in there. It's more to keep it from loosening than to give it any flexibility. The spring will lock it in as it moves, so I don't have to try to have an extra nut or anything like that to lock it. It's just kind of an automatic lock system. And that's about all there is to it. Obviously I've got to trim up the bolts and get it neatened up a little bit. But I've got to put it back together now, and I want to just mill this top down, because this one, I'll show you the blade body inside of this one. So the blade rides just like this right on top of those bearings as it is advanced through for the sharpening process. And that's about all there is to it. It's just a lot of machining, but it's fun. It's what we do. So we're set up to take our last cut on the Bridgeport. What I have in here is a small shell mill. It's got interchangeable triangular heads, so that each one gives you 3 sides that you can use, and then you can take them out and buy new ones. It's a very nice little cutter. So we'll go ahead and fire it up and make the last cut. So I'm taking about 40,000, 50,000 to cut. And this should do it. Alright, let's give it a try. So I'll back the vise off and you watch, it opens itself right up because of the springs. Put the example of blade in and it's just about right. So that looks good. Pretty happy with that. Just going to file off these edges so they're not sharp, and it's done.